One financial analyst who spent 2 decades studying the markets agreed to a rare on-camera appearance to issue his biggest warning ever. He says the biggest market bubble in history is popping. So you can do nothing or take this one simple step to prepare now. This past winter, he began issuing a big warning about inflation and a looming market disaster. His timing was nearly perfect, but he promises you there's still time to act, to protect yourself, and potentially see some of the biggest gains of your life in the coming years in the right time-tested assets. Ones that tend to skyrocket in times of inflation, like hard assets, energy, and gold. He's put together a 5-stock model portfolio, a way to not just beat inflation, but benefit from it. This dead simple one-step investment approach could show you a series of triple-digit gains or higher starting right now. You could set yourself up in minutes and likely forget about inflation, rising prices, or the worst effects of a market crash for years to come. The critical thing is that you act now. Do your future self a huge favor and get the facts free of charge. To watch our full interview for free, simply go to inflationprotection2022.com. Again, that's inflationprotection2022.com to watch our full interview. Hi, this is Daniela Cambone, and welcome back to the Daniela Cambone Show here on Stansberry Research. We're still covering the crypto market, and with me today is Bradley Kimes. He's the founder of Digital Perspectives. Bradley, been following you on Twitter for a long time. Nice to finally have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Daniela. It's a privilege and an honor. I'm a big fan of the show.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Bradley. Excited to get your thoughts, obviously, on the crypto space, but I want to talk Tether, I want to talk Ripple, a lot of ground to cover with you. But because it's our first time speaking and you're new to my audience here, just want to get your thoughts on this crypto ice age we find ourselves in. And, I do want to talk Bitcoin separate from crypto, but just in general, let's get your thoughts on what's going on here.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for having me. It's been a heck of a journey. Now, I've been in this space 5 years now, and seeing where we are today, a lot of people say this is a lot like back in the, bear market we experienced after 2017, 2018 bull run.
Right.
But I look at where we're at quite differently, because I feel like now we're closer to having regulation, at least some foundational regulation for the space that we haven't had up until now. And I believe what we're really experiencing is that moment before that taking place right now.
So let's talk about that, because I do remember one tweet of yours where you said, look, if the regulators come after USDT now, we're in for another bottom in crypto.
I really do believe that. It has been clear, recently we just saw US Terra collapse. Much smaller project. And listen, I just want to be clear, I don't want to see these things take place. It's just, this is part of a new emerging market, coming to market, right? A new emerging asset class coming to market. And we're watching these growing pains happen. And I believe that, what we're seeing is a potential moment with something like Tether that really has been out here operating as a private US dollar. And I have to believe that's a problem. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just to that point, you're absolutely right. Like, if Tether would just tell us what they're in, and if there was greater transparency, wouldn't that be better for everyone?
It really would. I mean, to me, this is the moment that really begins to shape this new asset class. And it starts with what's a dollar and what isn't a dollar in the digital world. And I believe that they're going to, I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I tell people on my channel all the time, I'll make the video. But it does appear that, we are going to see a moment here where if Tether doesn't collapse, it's at least going to be called to carpet here. And there was a tweet not long ago from Caitlin Long in this space, and she had made a tweet that said, in relevance to the Celsius freeze of accounts, and she had said that, just because you're licensed doesn't mean you're regulated. And I found that to be such a profound statement, because I feel like Tether may find itself in a very similar boat.
So Bradley, how far away are we from this regulation?
Well, less than a month ago, I attended Consensus out in Austin, Texas, and it is the who's who in this space. And in fact, there was Senator Toomey, Senator Gillibrand, Senator Loomis, House of Representatives Patrick McHenry, all on stage at the same time, and they were all discussing the idea about how critical it was to get stable coin legislation done,
Right.
and they felt like they could get it done by the end of this year.
By the end of this year, and you're saying so that would be obviously bad news for the crypto space in terms of price action.
Well, I believe that if that we are going to get that legislation, then I believe somebody becomes the poster child for it. And we already saw the U.S. Terra collapse, and I believe that's what puts USD Tether front and center for that moment, possibly.
I also want to get your thoughts, speaking about red flags, regarding Coinbase, because Goldman Sachs analysts earlier this week downgrading shares of Coinbase to sell from neutral, slashing their price target on the stock to $45 from $70. You know, what happens if Coinbase were to go bankrupt?
Yes, exactly. And I tell you, that brings up another very important moment for investors. It's whether to store your stuff, your crypto, your holdings, your portfolio on the exchanges, or whether or not you should put them on what they call cold storage, which is storing them offline in your control. And, to that point, we don't know what's going to happen, right? And I don't want to try to predict what will happen with Coinbase there, but I think the bigger point to take away from me is to get your portfolio on cold storage. And to me, I liken this to why we need clarity so bad on custody, and as well as having it for what's a digital dollar and what isn't a digital dollar, right? I mean, cold storage is almost really analogous to me to the early issuances of stocks and bonds back in the early 1900s, when they would literally issue you the paper and you took it home and went and put it in a safe. And you can do that with your crypto now. You can buy the crypto, put it on your cold storage wallet, and then go put it in a safe. I'm hoping for the day that we get insured custody, and I don't have to be responsible for it. I can put it somewhere, pay some kind of small fee or subscription, and have it insured.
Yeah. So this is a good point I want to bring up. Like I said, it's our first time speaking. Despite the utter demolition we have seen take place in the crypto space, you are still a believer in this space, Bradley. Why?
I'm a huge believer in this space, Daniela, and it's such a great question because it does sound like I'm very negative on the space, but I'm not. I'm extremely positive on the space, and I'm so excited about it. First, I have a huge appetite for risk, and you can find that here in this space. Number two, I think it was Brian Brooks, the former OCC head, that said it best. The nomenclature of cryptocurrencies itself is just horrible description for what these things are to me. And I agree with that comment. I believe that calling these things cryptocurrencies was the worst thing they could ever do, because what I do is I look for use case, Daniela. That's what excites me about this space. I'm not an XRP maxi or this maxi or that maxi. I'm a utility maxi. If your token has utility and real use case, and it's not looking for a problem to solve, it is designed to solve a problem, right? It is a specific problem, like cross-border remittances, for example. When I think of, how I invest in this space and the things that I study and look at, I want to find the projects that really are more like payment networks, because that really is how we should be seeing these things. What has real use case in my mind is something that is a real payment network.
Okay, so to that point, is that why you haven't fully embraced Bitcoin? Why can't you wrap your head around Bitcoin? What's the issue there for you?
Well, and I hope everybody that has Bitcoin has made $1 gazillion, and I hope they continue to make $1 gazillion. But, there's something very troubling for me there, because I look at Bitcoin, for one, it's important. I have held it. I hold a little bit now, but nothing meaningful. But, the reality for me is that Bitcoin is what I liken to the first cell phone. It showed the whole world what is possible. But who's using the first cell phone today? No one. So, when I think of that, I ask myself that Warren Buffett test. If retail secondary market trading went away and stopped right now today on Bitcoin, what would be the real value of it based on the actual use case of it itself and not trading volume? That's a toughie, right? I don't know what that number is. What would be the number of Bitcoin and the rest of the market if USD Tether becomes the next poster child for regulation and it's collapsed to introduce a new digital dollar, which I happen to believe unofficially is the USD coin backed by Circle and Goldman Sachs.
So then what are your thoughts on Ethereum?
Well, Ethereum is very interesting too, because, Ethereum is designed as this application. I almost look at it like a Play Store or Apple Store, for all of this network design, whether it's smart contracts or whether this network has been designed to make it easy for other companies to come in and build on this network. The problem is that it's founded in proof of work, which we know at this stage of the game, just like Bitcoin is proof of work is not necessary to run blockchains in this day and age. That's how fast the innovation is moving in this space. Now, Ethereum plans to move from proof of work to proof of stake, where holders can put up a certain amount of tokens and help operate and function the network. But, to me, I see a scalability issue with that long term and keeping the price of the transaction fees down. And currently right now, Ethereum's gas transaction fees are just out of control. So I don't see a way forward long term with that, to be honest, unless they get across those hurdles.
You like Ripple. Is that a correct statement? You've been covering Ripple a long time?
I've been covering Ripple a long time. I love Ripple the company, and Ripple the company is much different than XRP the token. And, there's so much happening in this space, Daniela. There really is. And, again, I hope Ethereum gets all of the problems solved, but there was problems with Ethereum and how they even launched Ethereum. There's issues out here about what they call ETHgate. And you could even look up Digital Asset Investor or Johnny Deaton, who have done enormous amount of work to really show real proof of some improprieties that have taken place about how that original ICO took place and got a pass, and about how it's held to a completely different standard than any other crypto in this space. And currently Ripple's being sued right now by the SEC.
Well, I was going to ask you, as the SEC inches closer, to issue a statement regarding the long-standing lawsuit against Ripple. I mean, how do you think that this plays out?
Well, it's interesting. One might even say that the SEC is a great barometer for investment. The SEC sued Amazon, the SEC sued Tesla, the SEC sued Microsoft, and the SEC suing Ripple. So when I look at those things, I say to myself, okay, let me drill down in this just for the audience members that don't know what's going on here. Just for very quickly here, to be clear, SEC is suing Ripple over the fact that they believe every XRP sale, no matter where it took place, secondary market or over the counter, is in fact a security to the SEC. That is the claim that they're making. Now, to be clear even further, there are no criminal charges in this complaint. So this is really a civil matter here, right? This is about whether we call it a duck or we don't call it a duck, right? And at the end of the day, I believe that XRP is going to function so importantly as a complement to the US dollar and all the other fiat dollars of the world, as a bridge between them, acting as a new oil or a new grease for this new digital system that we're moving to. So for you, they'll get it figured out.
So for you, is it the one world currency?
You know what? No, I don't think so. I think it is a bridge to all the currencies. And I think and I don't want to act like I'm trying to, parse words here, but I do believe it is a complement. See, Bitcoin was designed, even in the white paper, to be a currency. It was anti-establishment, anti-bank, and the rest of it. But the reality is Ripple and XRP's design, Ripple is building software and as a complement to the financial system. XRP is a complement to that software, which is used to settle between dollar to dollar, especially at this time in more exotic, smaller corridors where you don't have to hold. Basically, the long and short of this is for XRP is it eliminates central banks and small medium enterprises from having to pre-fund Nostro Vostro accounts around the world by holding just one token, XRP, as a bridge.
Getting back to your point about the lawsuit, do you agree then with Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, who came out saying the SEC basically contradicted itself by suing over XRP and then allowing Coinbase to IPO? Is that a contradiction?
It is a contradiction. Coinbase didn't even doesn't have a proper broker dealer's license. It's like, how could they let that happen? Here's another larger contradiction too from the SEC. The SEC originally, a couple years ago, allowed Ripple to partner with MoneyGram, and MoneyGram used XRP. Yeah. Between the U.S. and Mexican peso. So what I find interesting about that is that, you see that particular contradiction. They never told Ripple or MoneyGram, you can't do this partnership because there's XRP and we think it's a security.
Bradley, so let's bring it back to the investor here, right? It's confusing times. Sure. For folks who are in it, they've lost a lot of money. Folks on the sidelines thinking, is now an opportunity to get in, whatever you want to get in. How do you approach the crypto space right now as an investor?
What a great question. I think the first thing is that, with anything, you really can't dip your toe into anything that you're going to invest in. If you're going to invest in something, you really need to start to vet everything. And I encourage people to vet everything that I just said in this conversation we're having. Check it out for yourself. Do your own research. Get down into it and find the things that matter to you. I have to answer a couple core questions for myself as an investor. What is the company? What problem do they solve? What partnerships do they have? And how much adoption is actually taking place? When you start to weigh those things out, and the Warren Buffett test, if we stop retail trading on something like XRP, for instance, it continues to live on. 25% of the transactions happening on demand liquidity or on RippleNet are really on demand liquidity being used. It's actual use case.
So don't jump on bandwagons. Do your homework, right?
You have to, yeah, exactly. You make such a great point again. When you talk about things like the meme coins that you hear people talk about, these little fancy things that pop up and everybody's like, oh, I'm going to buy some and it's going to go up or whatever. To me, you're just chasing green candles, and that usually ends really badly for people.
So Bradley, just to bring it home here, give us a glimpse at your strategy here. What are do you have a top 3 coin list that you can share with us?
I do. I am in XRP, obviously, XLM, XDC, and I can name a couple others too that I really like a lot. But again, not financial advice. I encourage everybody to check out my digital perspectives, find out what works for you, do the digging. If you're going to get into this space, throw the word cryptocurrency in the garbage and replace the words with payment networks, new payment networks. And then start finding out, when you look at these things as a new payment network, who's using it? How much is the transaction fee? What is the settlement time? How many transactions per second can it do? How many people have signed up to use it? What companies? What banks? One of the things I really love about XRP and Ripple itself is they have designed from day one to work within the government and the banking system. And that's very important for me.
That's a good set list of questions you just named. I guess my final question to you is, are you all in on the crypto space, or are you diversified? Are you in anything else? Are you, in commodities or the S&P? What does your portfolio look like?
Well, you know what? I love this question because we see so often people say, look, it's either crypto or it's real estate or it's gold and everything else is trash. I'm an all-in person. I love gold, and I don't know why people do this. I love metals, I love gold, and I love it for a couple reasons. One, I'm hedging the current inflation that is out of control, and it doesn't look to be coming under control anytime soon. And two, I'm also hedging my huge appetite for risk investing in this new emerging asset class called cryptocurrency, which are really new payment networks outside of like NFTs, metaverse, which is a whole nother conversation, which I love too. So yeah, I'm an all-in person. I try to be all in. I used to own real estate years ago. I don't currently hold any right at the moment, but gold and crypto are big for me. And I don't know why people can't have a foot in all of it.
All right, so gold is your inflation play right now. I'm happy you brought that up, because if you had to make a general statement regarding Bitcoin and inflation now, because as you know, there was a lot riding on Bitcoin, how it was going to beat gold as an inflation hedge. Can we make a clear statement in terms of how Bitcoin reacts in inflationary times, or is it still too soon?
I think it's way too soon, Daniela. And to be perfectly honest with you, and I know people may not like this, but when it comes to Bitcoin, I mean, I think the jury's still out on it. It has tried twice now to be a currency and failed. And everyone calls it a store of value. I actually see Bitcoin more as the shiny distraction to keep retail investors off of gold. And the reality is the banks are hoarding gold at an alarming rate.
What about the folks that call it the new digital gold? What do you say to them?
Well, I say to them, if retail trading stops on it today, how much is your digital gold worth? The transaction time takes a long time to settle. It doesn't do many transactions per second. Right. So, I mean, when I look at the transaction fees are very high. We saw I think it was a mainstream media company not long ago, within the last month or two, did an exclusive piece on Bitcoin in El Salvador being legal tender.
Yeah.
It was failed. You know what I mean? It's not working. And I feel for the citizens there. I don't say that with any kind of, pride behind it.
Bradley, it was a pleasure speaking with you first time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your insights here.
Daniela, I really appreciate it. Again, it's a privilege and honor to sit down and speak with you, and I hope we get to do it again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bradley. And thank you all for watching. We'll have much more for you coming your way on the Daniela Cambone Show here on Stansberry Research. In the meantime, folks, don't forget to sign up at danielacambone.com so you can stay up to date and get alerted when all these great interviews are coming your way. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.
Opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the contributor and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Stansberry Research, its parent company, or affiliates.